Sir, good afternoon. I'm Chris Agbayani, a student of Development Management. Sir, from your extensive research, what do you think would be the impact of globalization in the next 20 years for countries that fail to fully attune their economies, production, agricultural or industrial production, to participate in a global environment?
Well, it seems pretty clear that those who do well are ones who can exploit the global environment well. We've seen China do it, for example, and the Philippines hasn't done it as well. Of course, you could argue that the outmigration is tended to create a Dutch disease, so that it's harder for exporters because of the appreciation of the exchange rate. But I don't believe that can be that big a part of the story. So it's more fundamental forces that explains the supply side performance in the export sector and more generally for the growth of the economy. So which countries exploit the global economy best will be determined by their own initiatives and their own policies that are effective in exploiting them, and whatever the political constraints that exist, of which there are apparently many in the Philippines. So that's for sure. But the thing that worries me about the future is that I've already seen one immense backlash against globalization and that started before 1913, but certainly came on in a rush with the two wars in the intermediate, where we not only retreated from being pro-global, but we began to compete with each other in terms of how badly I can push depression on you and get recovery in me. So is there a chance we might see that again in the future? Unfortunately, I think there's a very good chance we're going to see that in the future. I don't think North America and Europe is going to handle the pronounced slowdown in their growth rate very well. That's my prediction. And they are going to be, and they're not going to deal very well with the political competition coming from the third world, particularly the big nations, the BRICS, I'm guessing. And there's going to be conflict and hostility, and I'm worried about that dimension. I'm also worried about the spectacular growth rates of those big economies, cranking up the price of primary products, the commodity price booms. There'll be volatility, of course, there always is, but the trend is going to be up. And what is that going to do to the big countries that have military muscle? How are they going to respond to this? The way Japan did in 1939 or 1937? Or not. So I'm worried about this century, and that's the only way I can deal with your question. As long as we have the same rules of engagement, and that is open trade, if you do it well, great, you will benefit by it. If you don't, you won't. Then for the Philippines, it's the only issue of how can we change policies and institutions of the Philippines to exploit it better. But then the larger issue is Philippines better not wait too long, because this opportunity may disappear. I'm worried about. That was not a very upbeat response, was it?